We're rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Nerdbuzzed!
Nerdbuzzed doesn't condone the consumption of alcohol by any persons under the age of 21. Please drink responsibly.
Welcome to Nerdbuzzed, episode 84, the podcast where we talk about all the nerdy stuff that we care about and drink a cool frosty beer while we're doing it. I'm your host, Marcus Ellinger, and with me as always,
Jeremiah Johnson.
All right, Jeremiah. So, today, we get to review Life is Strange.
Okay.
Played it all month. We get to review Last Exile.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe a little Spider-Man pregame. Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah.
And I might have to get something off my chest about Nintendo.
I think you need to get that off your chest.
I'm going to just be angry the whole episode.
Yeah.
Be angry gamer today. But before all that, because I talk way too much, and I digress, get to the most important part, because I haven't had any today.
No, I haven't had either.
Nice. I like that you had to think about it.
I've had a lot of beer this week, so.
Oh, nice. Good. Good for you.
Today's beer is the Stone Ripper San Diego Pale Ale. And I'm really thinking this is going to be more like a IPA, personally.
Yeah, it looks like it even.
They address that in the back label. I was going to read the back label for you guys, but it's a book.
Yes, it is. It's a novel and a half.
But the gist of it is they drew their inspiration from the surfing culture of both the West Coast and the Aussie coast.
Okay.
And so they have hops, they have Cascade hops, and then Galaxy hops from Australia, sourced from Australia.
So it's gonna be hoppy. It's gonna be like an IPA.
It's super dry hopped and everything. And then they're like, it's not an IPA. It falls into standards of a standard West Coast current interpretation of a West Coast pale ale.
Okay.
Which is what a real IPA is. Anyway.
Yeah. It looks like, I would say it definitely kind of looks like an IPA. It's got that, sort of golden color to it.
Yeah. It's
not a pale ale looking.
No, but it's nice and clear.
It is very clear.
No real haze. You can see some sediment or whatever, some fruities in there, but not too bad. It's, it's got a beautiful color to it.
It really does. It's very gold. It's maybe just a slight little hint, a little bit on the amber side of gold there.
Yes.
And it smells fresh. Totally smells like summertime.
It does.
It smells like an IPA.
Yes, it smells like an IPA. It's got the grassy, grapefruity smells to it.
Yes.
The head was super thick when I poured it.
Yeah. It's
kind of fallen off a little bit because we didn't get going quite as fast, but...
Yeah. Sorry, my bad. I had pre-show rituals I had to.
Yes, you did. I'm glad you do.
Thanks.
You don't have to get the counterboard out yet.
That's right.
So, to all the nerds?
Through all the fuzz.
Bottoms up.
Let's get Nerdbuzzed. You didn't chime in with me.
Oh, I was trying to make sure I didn't spill my beer.
You got priorities.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Ooh, that is tart and juicy and...
Yeah.
Very grapefruity. Very grapefruity.
Yeah, it's definitely bitter at the end there. It's not like a pale ale.
No.
If you saw this in the bar, like on their beer list, and somebody was like, "Oh, I really like pale ales," and so they got this, I think they might be disappointed. I think this would probably be too bitter and hoppy for them.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably.
Yeah. It would not be what they would assume. I bet they would just bring it to the table, and you'd see it in the glass and go, "I think you brought me the wrong beer."
Probably.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is still pretty kind of bitter. But not as bitter as this.
No, this is it really reminds me of an IPA.
Yeah. I like that it's got a lighter body, though. A little bit lighter mouthfeel. You can taste the malt flavors, but you don't get the malt on the malt body itself. I mean, you don't get a real heavy slug of sugars and malts.
You get that hoppy, you get the kind of bite and the malt really well at the end of it there.
Yeah, a little bit. That's mostly just the hops.
Just the hops.
You're getting tons of hops in this.
The malty is the what's left on my tongue. I think that's just the hops.
I think that's just the hops.
I can't tell. My tongue's been abused by all the hops now.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's easy to drink.
It really is.
Well, we'll keep drinking it, and it's probably going to get better because that's what happens most of the time. Not all the time.
Yep.
So, before we get too much further, please shrink the screen. I said it right this time. And hit subscribe, hit like, do all that stuff. Go find us on Twitter. Like, share, tell your friends. We totally appreciate it all. It fuels our nerd fire, keeps us going.
Mm-hmm.
So do it. But first, what do you want to do first today? Should we do nerd play, or should we just talk about bad news first?
Well, back to your screen thing. I'm totally okay with the shink the screen as long as it's shink the screen.
Okay.
You just got to have it.
Is that a new phrase?
Yeah.
Okay, I like it when we come up with our own phrases.
Yes.
Yeah, own phrases and stereotypes.
You got to shink the screen.
Shink the screen. Yeah, like a ninja. That's very ninja. That's how ninjas do it.
Yeah, there you do it.
Shink. So what do you want to talk about first?
Ooh, let's get it off your chest, man.
All right.
Let's just do it.
So, I've said... I didn't even bring my... Oh, yeah, I did bring my phone. I've said a lot of crap about Nintendo lately. I kind of have.
Yeah, you really have.
It just kind of keeps coming up.
Not entirely unwarranted.
No. And, again, I totally respect Nintendo. I really like what they've done. I'm totally... a broken record here, but
yes, we owe our childhood to Nintendo.
We totally do. I think we owe our current systems we have now a lot of it to Nintendo for just getting that door open and getting the ball rolling. So major props to Nintendo. But coincidentally, our last episode was about mini consoles that were coming out from Atari and Sega, which look pretty cool. Pretty stoked with those. And then, like, the day after we recorded that, we actually got announced the Super Nintendo Mini. And the official date, it's going to come out in price and details. And it's going to come out September 29th.
Okay. It's around the same time the other one came out, wasn't it?
Yes, they're all September.
Yeah.
It's going to be $79.99. It's going to have 20...
So it's $10 more than the other one.
Yeah. Well, this one...
But you get the second controller.
Yes, you do get a second controller, and I'm pretty sure that the cords are going to be longer.
So yeah, they said they're going to be 5-foot cords.
Yes.
Instead of the 3 foots.
Yeah, which 2 feet makes a big difference.
It does make a big difference, but I still think you need more.
Yeah.
But just get a longer HDMI cord.
Yeah, it's a mini, right? That's the point is the system is almost portable. The cords are longer, but you can move the system around easily, right?
Yeah, and it's not like you need a super duper gold plated high transfer rate HDMI cord.
No, no. I think it caps out at the 720 also.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, 720 in an 8-bit system.
Yeah, right.
Or 16-bit system.
Yeah, it's 4K progressive scan.
Yeah.
No, it's not. So it's going to come with 21 titles, and one of those titles that everybody is just crapping their pants over is Star Fox 2, and it comes with 2 controllers, longer cords we talked about. And so now we go into why I have issues with it. We were super, super stoked for the NES Mini, right? The classic, the first one. You can't get it anywhere. They've totally quit production on it. I have a friend of mine who paid like $160 for one of them.
The last one I saw was $140.
Yeah. That's totally, my friend paid a bunch for it. He just had to have one, right? So this one, they've promised to do better. We're going to be able to get them. But then they've also said that they are only going to produce the system until the end of 2017.
So instead of shipping 5 to 7 per store, they're going to get 6 to 9?
Subfeed, right? Like, even if they double the amount of what the first NES was, it's still not enough.
No.
There's no way. And they have said, we're going to make way more, but if you consider that it comes out in September, and they're going to quit shipping them by the end of 2017... That's 4 months. That's it.
And if they're shipping them, they can't produce them all the way up to the end.
No. That's when they're supposed to quit shipping them out for sales.
Yeah.
4 months. That's it. And I kind of think... I kind of think this is like a total pattern that Nintendo has done for years now with the release of multiple systems and just the way they handle releasing their stuff. And I'm really kind of getting sick of it. I'm getting really burnt out on it. I was saying earlier, it's like... The nostalgia side of the scale is starting to get weighed down by. It's almost like the ego side of the scale, I guess. It's almost like Nintendo has this super ego that's clouding their judgment. I don't understand what they're thinking.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's like I just don't get it. And they even said, like Nintendo was, I'm paraphrasing, but they said it's for their hardcore fans of classic stuff, right? And it's like, then make it available for those people. That should be 90% of the people that play games.
Yeah, I know. Couple episodes ago, you talked about numbers of sold of the original NES versus the Super NES, and you went through all the systems and stuff.
Yeah.
So those people would be the people who bought Super Nintendos.
Yeah.
Now, I got mine secondhand. I didn't buy one off the shelf, but that's a huge number of production right there.
Yes.
Super Nintendo consoles. So. And then how many people like me have bought a second-hand one, thoroughly enjoy it. I want one.
Yeah.
You can't count my number towards the original purchase, but that's more.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So, and I know the person I got it from wants one.
I mean, I want one. I already have, again, I've already said, I have the emulators. I have the ROMs. I have all the games. I have way more than 21 Super Nintendo games, and they're fun to play. But to have this sweet little box, have a Nintendo-made controller that's actually the real deal, it would just feel like being a kid again, right? And for me, like regular Nintendo, for sure, it was a lot of couch play stuff. But Super Nintendo, I think, is when I really got into video games. And I'd go over to friends' houses, and we'd do the classic story of staying up all night long, drinking soda, waiting for your buddy to fall asleep so you didn't have to share the controller anymore.
That's what we did. That's what we did with... Secret of Mana and Zelda.
Yeah.
So that was the titles that stick out to me.
Yeah. I really look at all this news that they've talked about it as I feel bad saying it, but I kind of have this big FU to Nintendo. Like I'm really kind of insulted with the way they're handling it, and I think the fact
Sega.
I am just going to buy the Sega one, right? And then if I in the thrift store or out at a secondhand store and see cheap cartridges that it doesn't come with, I can actually play those too.
Exactly.
Right? Like the dream Sega machine. It's so cool. Unless they only make it for 4 months, right? Nobody can get one.
Like I said, I got the Retron, and I've got about 6 NES cartridges and about a dozen SNES cartridges.
Yeah.
So, favorite game? Monopoly.
No. Not my favorite game.
No.
The never-ending game. I think that by them putting Star Fox 2 in it is absurd. I think it's the most ridiculous way to... Because it's never been released before. So this is going to be the only way to be able to actually play Star Fox. It's been done and, stuck on a shelf collecting dust for years
Since
and years
the 90s.
now. Yeah. And so now they're finally going to blow the dust off it. They're going to give it to the public in super, super limited quantities. I don't know if they're going to make it available digitally. I don't know if that'll happen down the road. I have not read anything that's the case at all.
Well, once it hits that, people are going to rip it off that, and
for sure,
it's going to be available in all your ROMs and everything that you got.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and so I think it's the worst way to release Star Fox 2. I think it just is. It just make the game available to everybody that wants to play, that's into Star Fox.
And it was only 21 titles.
Yeah,
it was 30 titles for the classic, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And these ones are more. I don't have the actual list right here in front of me, but there's more on this one that I think are considered the big hits. Right? There were a lot of hits on the other one too, and it was actually a pretty sweet collection. But there were some that were just kind of in there. Right? Most of these seem. I mean, if you had a Super Nintendo, you would want these games.
Well, yeah, they had the Zelda, the Secret of Mana, the Star Fox and Star Fox 2, Castlevania,
yeah.
the Super Castlevania, the Super Metroid, Super Contra.
I like Super Metroid.
Super Metroid was awesome.
Yeah.
And they had the Super Contra, then, God, I don't remember all the other ones, but yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I did want to... whoa, that was close. I did make a little list here.
Were you foreshadowing for today when you were saying that, talking about that earlier?
Yeah, right. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be the guy that spills the beer. It's already been done. It wasn't me.
I know that.
So I do think F you, Nintendo. This is ridiculous. I think it's the most absurd way to release a game that's never been released.
Ouch.
I really want one of these systems, and you're completely encouraging piracy and people to rip off your games and play them through some other source because you're not giving them a choice now.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Which is terrible.
Based off that, yes, I agree with that comment, with the encouraging the piracy thing.
Yeah, I really think they are.
But
like you said, somebody's going to rip that Star Fox 2 off the system, and everybody will be able to get it.
Yep.
Yeah. You're not quite as passionate about the FU.
No, I'm not really not, but I'm still not entirely pleased.
Yeah. No, I'm really actually pretty disappointed about it. But to say I do have good things about Nintendo, right? I tried to bring a little positive before we get into some other stuff.
Okay. It's your ability to breathe. You have breathe.
Yeah. I think that Nintendo is always pushing boundaries. They totally are. With each system, when they first released the NES, it came with a game. Super cool. It came with a gun. Super cool, right? It was fun to shoot the gun at the screen. Like, that was all awesome. They did the Power Pad, right? I think that's what it was called.
Yep.
For the like track and field game, right? That was old school Nintendo.
I loved that.
Right? Like, these are all like pretty groundbreaking things that other systems didn't even do till way down the road. Like, way ahead of their time. Power Glove, right? I mean, I know it's cheesy and whatever, but it's still...
It was a controller.
It was
a standard NES controller with a glove.
Yeah.
You couldn't use the glove to use the controller. You had to use your other hand.
Yes. Yeah. You need two gloves. They also did the Virtual... Right? Yeah. They did the Virtual Boy, which was a terrible, terrible machine that would kill your eyes. And give
the only thing I ever played on that was the tennis.
Oh, yeah, Mario Tennis. Yep, I played that one too.
Yep.
And it's horrible. It's just red lines everywhere.
Red lines, and it gave you such a headache after like 3 minutes of play.
Yeah, it even came with a warning that I think you're only supposed to play it for like 5 to 10 minutes at a time.
Why?
Like, that was in one of the
3 minutes.
Yeah, that's anyway. As long as you can play it, right? Also, I've given huge props, Super Nintendo specifically, the first awesome shoulder buttons.
Yes.
Right? Groundbreaking for controllers. Again, just like at the forefront. I already mentioned couch play. That's what I think of when I think of Nintendo. I think of couch play with my buddies, right? Mm-hmm. They had their own magazine that you could like actually call and get like tips on your game and like how to get through it for like...
Which the only game I did that for was Dragon Warrior.
Yeah. Nice.
A couple times.
And you had to make that call quick, right?
Yes.
Because it was like
$9.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had to beg to get permission to do it too.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
So much begging.
Yeah.
Can I please? I'm stuck. I've been stuck for like 3 days. You can't figure it out. I don't have the internet because it doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, they gave you that outlet, which was super cool. And like later on, we got other video game magazines, but like that was it, man. Nintendo Power was awesome, right?
Mm-hmm. Which is funny because like my next issue of a Nintendo Power usually invariably had the information that I was calling for before.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
It was like, oh, damn it.
It would have like full guides for a game in it. It would like so much cool stuff was in that book. It was really cool.
Yeah, and they always had updated codes and stuff.
Yeah. And
what is super secret, not secret, because so many people subscribe to this.
Yeah. They did the Wizard movie. Do you remember the Wizard movie?
I do remember the Wizard movie.
With Fred Savage.
Yep.
And which was pretty much a big promotion for Power Glove and Mario 3. Yep. Right? And but again, it's like, how many other systems have a movie like that, right?
Yeah.
So they're totally not afraid to experiment and try like different peripherals for your system, and like even the Wii was totally this motion controlled, groundbreaking thing. There's no better system to play like while you're laying down in bed than the Wii, because you can put them because it's so far separated. You can put them on each side of your body, and no part of your fingers go numb or anything. That always happens to me with the other systems, right? Mm-hmm. So that's big props for that. And this coming from the guy who played GameCube with my Game Boy Advance hooked up so that I could see the extra items and Wind Waker while using a wireless Wavebird. So you cannot tell me that I'm not a Nintendo fan. Like that's like the deluxe GameCube setup for that, right? So from the Nintendo fan, please change your mind and keep producing this system so that we can all have a chance to actually play it. Just don't tease us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my rant. I do love Nintendo. Those are a bunch of reasons why I think they're awesome. But right now, I got a sour taste in my mouth. So let's talk about Life is Strange. And I'm going to drink some beer to cleanse my palate.
All right. Life is Strange.
and my attitude.
So I got to admit, so all the crap I gave you about not like being very far in the game,
yeah,
I didn't finish it.
Did you start chapter 5?
I got through the last time sequence.
Oh, okay.
And have not started it.
So, before we get too far into Life is Strange, what type of game is it? We should describe it. We always forget to do that.
Oh, Life is Strange is a kind of a choose your own adventure story.
Yeah. Like
story game. It was
third person, very choose your own adventure, I think. It's very story based.
Yes.
Right? Not really an action game.
Yeah, it's puzzle. It's just figure out the next puzzle. Figure out the item you need to do. You have the ability to rewind time.
Yeah, and you can make different choices, which causes different events.
Mm-hmm.
It like later chapters, the choices you made in the first, consists of 5 chapters, and some of the choices you make in the first chapters will totally have major outcomes later on in the later chapters. So you could go through and play the game again. I'm sure that it would all kind of end up the same, but your route to get there would be totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely like the losing the gun and all this other stuff, and then you can get it later and notice you got it and I didn't.
Yeah. No, I kept the gun because I didn't know, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know if I might need it. I would say I really, really enjoyed Life is Strange. I made a post today and really tried to encourage people to download the game. If you're listening to it now, it's already too late. You won't be able to get it on the store anymore. Maybe if you're listening to this Monday, they wait until Tuesday until the new games come out. So you might have one day. But if you're hearing it, really download it. It's worth, even if it just sits in your queue and you come back to it someday to play this game.
Yeah, exactly.
It's totally free, right? Like, don't feel like you have to play it right now if for whatever reason, but at least put it in your queue so you
get
can come
the
back
app
to it later.
on your cell phone and buy it through that. It's in your queue. You can download it anytime.
Yeah, it won't even take up room on your system.
Yep.
Right? And it's free right now. And the best way, like in my post, the best way I really come around to it is I really did feel like this game was such a breath of fresh air. It really was. We always talk about owning what you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And being committed to what you are, and this game does that. And it's
totally.
something that's different and unique that you haven't really played before, which both those things make it so high on my list.
The gameplay itself has been done before. Many style of games, the Telltale games do it like that. And, I even see influences from classics like Myst in it.
Yeah.
But as far as that type of stuff goes, it's the way they tell the story and the decision making process that you have to go through as a player in this game. It gets heavy.
Oh, totally.
This game gets super heavy, and that's what's like, wow, I've never had a game, I've had like, shock and awe stuff, be like, whoa, hey, wow, in games, but never had a game that just affected me on such an emotional level.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm making decisions like as connected to these people. It's weird.
Oh, and like you said, some of those are heavy decisions, man.
Oh, I know.
They really are. And some of them in the scenarios you're in, there isn't really an ideal answer. Like, no matter which way you go, it's this pretty big issue that's going on in the game. We're being super vague, but I'm actually really glad because I don't think you should ruin this game for anybody. You
that's
need
why I was
to play
trying to
it
put it
and
that
make
way.
your own decisions, right? I've never played a game that's as episodic as this is. This is like...
Mm-hmm.
I watched my wife play a lot of it, which is saying a lot. She played the whole game with me, right? That's pretty rare. She'll get on board and then kind of she'll get on board and then get bored, right? Yes. And I keep going with it. This one, she refused to let me play it without her, and she played through the whole thing with me. We both would, it got to the point where we would get done with all of our stuff for the day, and we'd both sit down and typically we'd watch a show or something at the end of the day. And we're like, no, let's play Life is Strange. Because it's pretty much like a show. You get the like last time on, and you get the little highlights at the end of the chapter where it's like next time. And it leaves you at the cliffhanger. And the one major complaint that I have about the game is the camera. The camera, because the camera is always above and to
Up
the
and
right
right,
of the
yeah.
character, it makes it such a pain in the ass to look at anything to the left of the character.
Yes.
Right? You
It
just,
does.
which a lot of things you have to move up to and interact with it. So if that thing is on the left side of you, it's just a pain in the ass.
It is. I didn't have too much of a problem with it, but
Yeah, it's my one major complaint I would have
Yeah.
about it. I think they could have done the camera better, but I get why they did it because it makes it look like a TV show that way.
and now I know I'd mentioned last time that I thought it was the way the story went. Everything that happened was something that was like I totally saw this coming,
Yeah.
and it's like kind of cliche, but it kind of felt like the way it's intended to be too.
I think so. Yeah. It's very
'cause, I mean, it was-
it sticks to like classic formulas.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I kind of like that about it too,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know if when you get to the final chapter, do you get the big
I don't know.
get the big reveal in chapter 4? I'm trying to remember if that happens in chapter 4 or chapter 5.
Are you talking about the mentor character?
I guess, yeah. He is revealed at the end of chapter 4, right? So you kind of get that.
Yeah, and I thought so on the very first chapter
That might be who everything's revolving around.
yes.
Yeah.
I was like, it might be, but I'm not sure.
Because it was too obvious.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
The other things were too obvious. There's something else going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In a way, it reminded me of like almost like a Netflix original series or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like the way it's done,
Definitely,
right? It has
definitely.
that kind of a vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this limited number of shows, but it's different than other shows you've watched, but you get kind of hooked in, and again, you appreciate it because it is what it is. And it's just gonna own it.
No, I didn't finish it.
Okay. But there's a but.
I did not finish it, but did they leave it open to make more episodes, or did they very, very concisely cut it off?
So again, it has choices, right?
Yes.
I only got to see one of the endings. I'm really tempted to play the last chapter again and do like the polar opposite ending to see what happens. But it pretty much ends. I mean, it doesn't really, there's no cliffhanger really. It just kind of, it comes to a major decision, and then you have to decide, and then it pretty much wraps it up after that based on whichever one you did. And I don't even know if there's more than 2 options. Like if you made a bunch of choices along the way, suddenly now maybe one of those options has changed a little bit.
Now, I know episode 4 was a really long chapter.
It was long.
How long is 5 comparatively?
I think that 5 is a little bit shorter. I want to
Okay.
say it's more.
Because 3 was pretty short.
3 was. I want to say 3 is probably the shortest one.
Yeah.
Well, again, it all depends on how much you interact with everything. Because you can go talk to every little person and find every little item and find all these little clues and details.
Yeah,
and
I did
stuff.
not get all the photos. I guarantee I did not even
Take all the pictures.
take all the pictures.
And
get
she
all-
totally does use a Polaroid camera, and she totally does shake it.
It's, I know. I
I
love
was
that.
stoked. Yeah, flip, and then sticks it away. Yeah.
Yep.
It's super, super good. Oh, another thing, I was really surprised that it's a Square Enix game.
Yeah, I know.
It never occurred to me that's
That
who
was
made the game.
that was something that actually, when I first loaded it up and started playing, I was like, oh, it's a Square game. I used to love them.
Yeah. And it's so not a Square game, though.
No,
it's
it's
just not at all. There's no mana in it, right? Or like there's no leveling up. There's nothing. There's no traditional Square Enix stuff going on in there. Even the character models are not like typical, really, of a Square game. Again, they remind me more of like
But
LA Noire.
it was another studio. So you think it was just Square that produced it?
Yeah, it must have, right? The other studio must have had a lot more weight in the game.
Yeah, did the creating, and then Square is just the one that gave it to the world.
Yeah. No, I came home after work and was looking forward to playing this next chapter. Like I was chomping at the bit to play it again and see what happened.
I inserted Skyrim.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
It didn't have enough mana or leveling up in it then.
I inserted Skyrim, and just life stopped after that.
Yeah, right. you got your Skyrim fix.
No, I haven't. I want to
You're
go play
still
now.
feeding. Yeah. Skyrim's a slippery slope.
It is. It really is.
Um,
I love that game, though.
I cannot stress enough to people how much I really think that people should download this game.
Definitely.
Really play it. I don't know what it costs. If it's like a $10 game or maybe even $20,
I'd pay $20 for it.
It's still so
I would pay
worth it.
$20 for this game.
Totally. And
As long as I got all the episodes.
Yes.
I mean, if it was $10, then $15 for every episode or something following that, no.
No, I wouldn't do that either.
But or even $5 every episode after, I probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But no, I would totally buy this game.
Yes.
I would gladly give them more than my $49.95 or whatever it was for my year subscription for it. And I was halfway into the first episode. I was very skeptical still.
Me too.
I was like, I don't know, man. But by the end of that first episode, I was like, damn, I am hooked. I want the second one. I put the second one in. The second one, I'm hooked. I'm into the third one. Third one, I was like, it's kind of stupid. I know. I kind of saw this happening. It's kind of stupid, but whatever. Get that done. Which, unfortunately, weird thing is that's like one of the heaviest weighted decisions you have to make.
Yes, it is.
And then the fourth episode is like, awesome. This is really long.
Well, and it's not a game that I would typically go to. It's not my style.
It is
at
not
all. So, and it's one of the best game. It's not Journey, but it has that kind of a feel to where it's just fresh and it's new. And it was exciting to play something that was different that I hadn't played before. Right? I think we're so
it's fresh and new, but doesn't use new technology.
No, it doesn't at all. It's almost like, again, I think in a way, in the same way Journey does, is it's using video games almost as like an outlet for art, right?
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
It totally is, which is really, really cool.
Very, very, very true of what that is.
Yeah, and I so appreciate it for that. It stands on its own. It really, really does. And for me, it gets major props for that, for doing something fresh and new. I think we're so dominated with first-person shooters, third-person action games where the point is to blow everything up, right? Like we get so many of those every year with new skins on them.
Cookie cutter games.
Yeah, they're the same game. One has a new element or here or there. I'm not saying those games aren't fun. I love blowing crap up too, right? That's all fun.
Well, look at look what we first started talking about.
Yeah,
the Naughty Dog stuff, but
yeah, and but this game's just fresh and it's new and
even the Naughty Dog. I mean, like, why do we like Last of Us so much?
Yeah, because
of it did the same thing that this does, and it affects you on a very emotional level.
Yes, it totally does. The story in that game is so engaging. Again, it kind of uses elements we've played before, but it does kind of do them in a new way. Yeah, right. A better way, I should say. It's more of a polished version of a lot of other things we've had. I guess this one kind of is too, like you're saying, the Telltale games, and there are the other ones that are like that, but I've never played a game that does it like this does. It feels as true to being a chapter story like this is, and it was like watching TV. Yes. It really was. Super, super good. Should we put a score on it?
Oh, sure.
What do you think?
I'm going 8.5.
8.5?
I really am.
I'm so tempted to put a 9 on this game. I'm gonna go 8.75. Not to one up you, not to quarter up you.
Yeah, it is.
It's actually to quarter it down. I would give this game a 9 if it wasn't for the camera. To me, the camera was actually kind of a hang up in the game. My wife made herself sick.
It does not take much.
No, it doesn't take much. Yes, just to clarify, right? Yeah.
I think she's worse than Walter.
Ooh, she might be. Yeah. And I know that in this game, a lot of the reason was because the camera was off to the side, and so she would have to swing it around so much to see things on the other side of the screen, and whenever she would do that like 4 or 5 times, and then it'd be like, "All right, here you play now. I can't anymore. I'm gonna make myself sick."
Don't give her Skyrim.
No, don't give her. She can't. Games where it relies on a lot of camera movement.
That's all Skyrim is. Yeah. Look at this. 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 And then you have to go over to your follower and say, "Pick it up. Pick it up. Pick it up. Pick it up," because they all weigh too much for you to carry.
Yeah. I remember that. Just over covering the hell out of your follower. Right. That's why they're there.
That's how you can fast travel.
Yes.
With 3 tons of equipment.
Yeah. That is a pretty sweet thing that they did that, right? That's like a big.
And I was reading a deal where they said they've changed the some of the over encumbrance stuff, and I thought I read that they had fixed the over encumbering your follower.
Yeah, you mean broke it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, they totally didn't. You can still fast travel with your follower, like I said, 2 tons of stuff.
Yeah. Nice. So again, Life is Strange. Play it. Can't say it enough.
Yep. Stay out of the Doom Ruins.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Life is Strange.
Yeah. Do you want to? Should we just jump into anime and we'll wrap up with next week? How about that?
Sounds good.
So we watched Last Exile.
Mm-hmm.
We watched it all month.
Yes, we did.
It was our anime for June. That's what month it still is, right?
Couple more days.
Yeah, and then it's my birthday. Oh my god! Don't forget.
Huh?
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. I actually thought I love it when this happens, right? When we don't plan anything at all, and there's like running kind of themes between things. And I think kind of the running theme between Life is Strange and Last Exile is that like big, heavy-handed decision making and like really adult, mature things that are going on. But again, you're talking about dealing with that with like teenagers and younger people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which they both totally are very similar in that way. I mean, totally different, but they have that going as a similarity. And it's what I love, I think, the most about Last Exile is that it's the same. It's the same kind of like crisis for everybody that's going on, but you get such drastic different perspectives on it from all the characters, and they're done so well. Like I can't even really pick a favorite. Like they're all just because they're so different, but they're all the same kind of theme. It's really good. I enjoy it so much about it.
I gotta say, Alex Rose is my favorite character.
He's pretty cool. He is super cool.
He
I wish that he had what's his name? Cowboy Bebop. I wish that it was him who played his voice instead.
Yes.
Right?
That would have made it
even more so, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it would have.
Because it's the other what's the other guy's the other captain's name who is Cowboy Bebop. There's the mechanic who's Jet. Right?
Yep.
There is Cowboy Bebop voices in there.
Yes,
for sure.
there is.
Yeah. But the other captain who has the rivalry with Alex.
Oh, yes, that is.
That's what's his name in Cowboy Bebop? Spike?
Yeah, it's Spike.
Yeah.
It's Spike, and that's yeah.
I kind of wished Alex would have been Spike's voice.
Yes.
I kept thinking that the whole time.
Exactly.
Like, I wish you were Spike's voice.
Exactly, but yeah, I noticed the Spike's voice thing right away once the other guy started making the coffee.
Yeah.
I was like, damn you!
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really there's...
But it was cast incredibly well for the voices.
Oh, totally. And I even watched...
I actually don't think the Spike guy could have carried that low, ominous tone the way that he does, though.
Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, the guy who plays Alex does a phenomenal job.
He does.
He totally does. He just almost... He has this, like, Spike quality to him that I kept thinking, I wish that guy was this voice, right? But everybody is cast really well. There really isn't a voice in it. The classic anime, just super annoying character. There really isn't anybody that's like that. We mentioned Dio, kind of, but I actually really like Dio. By the end of it, he totally grows on you.
Oh yes, but when you first meet him, he is that.
He is, right?
He's that annoying comic relief character.
Yeah.
That everybody hates, loves to hate.
You hate, and everybody in the show hates too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everybody hates him.
But why? Why do you hate me?
Yeah,
Emo man.
Yeah, Jinx. Yeah. I feel as passionately about Last Exile as I do Life is Strange, in that people need to watch this anime.
Yes,
Really,
it's not
really
for
do.
everybody, but it's amazing. I don't know. I think it's one of the best ones out there.
I almost think it's more for people, like if you're the hardcore anime fan, it might not necessarily be as much for you. Like if you're into more like the trendy, what's more current popular anime.
If you're
right?
otaku style, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're not. I don't know that it's necessarily for you, but if you don't mind anime and you like a good story and character development and that part of it appeals more to you, hands down. I mean, this is just banging on all cylinders.
The way this one's drawn, the way the weight of the story, the weight that the story carries with it, and the way they tell it and everything is that is totally what got me into anime. And I couldn't tell you what the first anime was I saw.
Was it even a series?
No, like the first movie that I saw that got me, because I mean I saw the anime, I saw the what do you call it? Macross Saga, the Robotech,
yeah.
and and the Voltron and all that stuff, and loved it, but it wasn't into anime.
Yeah.
At that point in time, I was just into cartoons.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say nobody knew it as anime at that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't Ninja Scroll. I think Ninja Scrolls was the first one that I went and saw and knew by name. But I walked in on a bunch of people watching this movie, and they were like 3/4 of the way into it at the time that I first saw it, and I couldn't even tell you which one it is now. But I just remember the scene that I watched of it was like it was a full exchange between a few people, and then like what they did after bit, and the tone that was carried through it, the weight that was put into the actions. Every action had a purpose, and you know, I don't know how else to word it.
I think the weight of it is huge in anime.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing that separates anime from cartoon, like Western cartoons, right? That we grew up on.
Yeah, go ahead.
What?
Don't get me wrong, though, what you're saying there with the difference there, but there is a lot of just gaggy, stupid, la ha ha anime.
Oh, totally. They're totally, and I think I don't know if there's actually more of that now, or if it's just that anime is so readily available now that you're exposed to more of that.
I think there's more of it. I really do, because they're all the newer style of animation.
Yeah. Which this one, Last Exile, it is one of the best use of hand-drawn versus like CGI, like computer stuff. It's so tastefully done.
Mm-hmm.
I would say even better than Cowboy Bebop, because Cowboy Bebop has some real stark moments where this is totally computer done now, right?
Well, all the Exile scenes do that.
That's true. That is very
They
true.
are very, very stark, just straight up computer done.
Yeah, yeah.
And just clearly done computer.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, so it takes place in the future.
Yep.
Right. And, it's not quite like steampunk, but kind of has that kind of vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I would say
I'd say, yeah.
Would you say it's
steampunkish?
Yeah. It's got that kind of vibe. It deals with, almost this like end of the world sort of scenario where people are just scraping to survive, right? Like it's like Star Wars almost. It's kind of what I think of, right? Everybody's very dystopian, and it deals with different factions of people that kind of have to come together to work for a common goal, right? And kind of set aside their differences.
Eventually, it starts out with the there's the 3 classes. You got the guild, which is like the engineered super race.
Yeah.
Then you've got the Dissith, which is the northern dwellers, the cold north dwellers.
Yeah.
Then the Minigis, which is I would say the people that you're following.
Yeah, kind of the main faction that you deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 2 main people are
Mm-hmm.
The 2 main characters are the 2
kids.
Yeah, totally. I totally say they're kids.
Yeah,
They're
Klaus and Lapis.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say they're like old teenagers.
No, I would probably say 12 and 13.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too. Pretty young. Yeah. But again, that's what makes it so cool is that you get all this like really just heavy, intense stuff going on that's affecting this whole world, and it's riding on the shoulders of these children. And they have to bear the weight of that, which is a huge chunk of the show. And normally that's not something I'd be interested in. Again, kind of a similar thing between Life is Strange and this. But they handle it so well, and they actually make it like somewhat relatable that you can understand it, right? And it relates to you, right? You sympathize with the characters as you're watching it.
Yeah, you entirely do. And there's one episode where they do that. Their dads both get killed, and it shows them how connected they were and how much they loved their fathers, and would go flying with their fathers and all this stuff. And then their fathers die in the grand stream.
Yeah.
And then they're left with their father's vanship, or you would want to believe their father's vanship.
Yeah.
And and then so there's these kids. Probably what would you say, 6, 7 years old?
Oh yeah, pretty young.
Yeah,
Yes.
and their mother dies out of grief from losing the husband and all that.
Yep.
And so they're left on their own at like 6 and 7 years old, and it like shows bill collectors coming in and taking the house away because they can't afford it and all this other thing else, and just leaving them out there to fend for themselves. And so you got these kids that grew up essentially on the streets, fending for themselves.
Yeah.
And the only thing they had to tie with back to their parents and fathers was their airship, their vanship, their plane. And
I really love in the show when they kind of do when the two kids kind of hit their maturing point, and they realize that their paths are splitting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those are some really intense episodes, actually. Like you
really
feel emotionally sympathetic for these two different kids and what's going on, because up until then they've been inseparable, right?
Exactly.
And then now suddenly they're dealing with different priorities that the other one has, and like, and like, are they, at first they're very juvenile about it, right? And they're like, they're just pissed at the, like Levy gets really just pretty much pissed off at Klaus and doesn't know how to handle it, right? And it's this big emotional thing. And then everything starts to come around full circle in the show. And there's this such mutual respect for the two of them that they all kind of come back to each other. But those episodes when that happens are some of my favorite in the show because of that, because of the intense emotions that's going on between these children, right? The weight of what they're wearing on their shoulders through the whole series is just like, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, exactly.
It's the weight of the world, literally. It is
the weight of the world.
Yeah.
7-star mission.
Yeah, right? It totally is. It's literally the weight of the world on their shoulders.
Wow, yeah.
It's really, really good. And again, it's not what I would typically go for. It just isn't. It's not as much like action-y, crazy scenes and blow 'em up stuff. I mean, there's some of that stuff in there.
It's got airships.
It has airships, which is pretty cool.
Which is like it pretty much is guaranteed that I'm gonna like it if it has airships.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker. Blame it on Final Fantasy, but
yes,
ever since then, airships are just like my kind of, I don't know, Achilles heel in anime.
They baited the hook well in this show.
Yes. Airship naval battles. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And I actually looked into them because we were talking about, I think there's only like 3 years difference between this and Cowboy Bebop.
Okay.
So they're actually not that far apart from each other.
But the animation qualities and styles have changed so drastically between them in those 3 years.
All right, we're back.
Yes, with power and fresh beer.
Back. Yes, and fresh beer. We drank all of our warm beer, so we're extra buzzed.
Yes.
Nice. That's a bonus, actually. I look at this as a bonus. It was like halftime.
We got to get some real world stuff off of our chests.
That's right.
And then reminisce back in the good old days.
Find out things about each other
that
we knew,
I hate you more now.
Know, right? Thanks,
just so you know.
Thanks, buddy. But a new respect? No? Just hate?
Yeah.
Okay. Just violent, jealous hate.
Okay, jealous.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's it, entirely.
Okay. Well, we left off... Well, I still love you. Does that make it worse?
Yes.
Okay. We left off at Last Exile.
Yes.
Pretty much we can wrap it up. There was one thing I did want to include, which you said I should make a note of, because we were discussing.
Oh, yes, definitely,
right?
yes.
Glad
you remembered, because I didn't.
That was that I got halfway through this in Japanese, and then I borrowed the DVDs from you, because you can't get anything done when you read an anime.
Yes,
which is what I was doing, and then I watched it in English, and then the last 2 episodes I did watch in Japanese. The very last one I watched in English, 2 before it I watched in Japanese, and I have to say, it didn't mess up the pacing. It didn't really affect the show in any way.
No, it's cast incredibly well both ways, and the characters fit the voices.
Oh, totally. Both equally as engaging. If it wasn't for the fact that I have to read it when it's in Japanese, I would have continued watching the whole thing in Japanese. But yeah, transitioned seamlessly between the two. It didn't miss a beat at all. The theme, the tone of it was exactly the same.
Yes.
It's just really, really good.
It is. Like I said, I've watched it twice now in Japanese and twice now in English.
Nice.
So
I think I'm twice in English for sure, because I've seen it twice before we watched it, and so now I'm not quite 3/4 Japanese.
Okay.
Yeah. So 1 1/4 English, almost 3/4 Japanese, and it didn't matter at all. I was actually surprised when I watched it in Japanese, and I loved it as much as I did in English.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. which is not the case a lot of the times.
No,
for anime stuff.
like going back to the roots, the DBZ roots.
Mhm.
I can't watch. I cannot watch Z in Japanese. But Dragon Ball, I have to watch in Japanese.
Yeah. For me, it's if you watch it in English, it's easier to transition to the Japanese. But if you watch something in Japanese and you fall in love with it in Japanese,
Which is how I watched Last Exile.
yeah, it's hard to do the English transition a lot of times because to me it seems dumbed down.
Usually is.
Yeah, you don't notice those. You don't notice the the stereotyped characters that are coming in and like those types of things when it's in a different language because you don't know what they're saying based on their like vocal inflections and stuff. You can kind of tell moods, but it's harder to like pick out the Krillin, right? Like in English, Krillin is horrible, but in Japanese, he's just another one of the dudes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although they in Japanese they kind of talk like he's got no nose.
Yes.
It's kind of weird the way they muffle his voice.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it.
He's more nasally with at the same time being less nasally because he doesn't have a nose. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
He's like congested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't know if the Japanese voice actor like intentionally did that or that's just the way they cast it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it definitely has that.
Oh.
But yeah.
So other than everybody should watch it, should we wrap up our Last Exile? Throw a score on it?
Oh, definitely.
We pretty
watch
much
it.
covered everything before our power outage.
I think so. By the way, power went out, people.
yeah, that's what happened. I'm gonna give it. Boy, I was actually, as we were taking our power out break, I was saying how I feel like I've seen enough animes and stuff from. Really, a lot of it is because of doing this, and we've been watching them. We've been playing new games like Life is Strange. DBZ is like working its way down my top 10 list.
Do you think
animes.
Super is detracting from that? Do you think Super's dragging it down a little bit? Because Super is considered canon now.
Yes, a little bit. I think it again. It's like the where like a sequel comes into something, right? And it takes away, or a revamp of something. It takes away from that original that you have such an affinity for. It does do that to a certain degree. But there's so many things that I can personally relate to my Dragon Ball Z experience, like getting off work early and like my boss being pissed. And, like, there's so many personal things that happened in my life during these like climactic parts of Dragon Ball Z, and I associate the two together that'll never go away. Like they can come out with Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball, Extra Super and whatever. They keep coming out with them, and I will always have this soft spot for DBZ.
Yeah.
And it was my first exposure to really getting sucked into like a true Japanese anime series. I think was probably DBZ, where I really cared and like I said, skipped out on work early to get home and watch it. I didn't want to miss any of it. I cared about the characters. I knew every single character and their backstory and all of that. I was so engaged in it.
Yeah, I can totally
for me, that was DBZ.
Yeah. It's I don't think I was quite as engaged as you were.
I loved it, man.
I loved it.
I was blown away at what it was.
Well, I made my sister was my DVR.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of chewed her butt for it when she forgot to record it one night.
Yeah.
I was like, no, but I don't know what's going to happen. And it turned out it was the same thing. They were still yelling. But
well, and I think right before the break we talked a little bit about Ninja Scroll, right? And how
we didn't say Ninja Scroll, but we were dancing around that subject, yes.
Yeah. And so I guess maybe for me the big DBZ thing was that it was the playful anime that I fell in love with, right? Because there was Ninja Scrolls and Vampire Hunter D and even Blood and these other movies I'd seen, but they're way more serious. Like the tone is serious and more adult.
Yep.
And Dragon Ball Z is the first one that I could relate to. This is the Japanese equivalent of my Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, it's the episodic.
Yeah, right.
Saturday morning cartoon.
So that was my first exposure to that. I think, that I really cared about. I'm just chomping at the bit. I couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that entirely. It was good, and like I said, I got to see Dragon Ball before I saw Z. Because
I didn't even know about Dragon Ball.
Well, because they released Z, then they released Dragon Ball following Z, then they reran Z again.
Yeah,
and that was when I got into it. So you actually got into it before I did.
Oh, yeah. And that was like Toonami. right?
Yeah, they're all of it was done on Toonami.
Okay.
They just reran it again on Toonami again.
And I just didn't even know. I had no. And again, we're talking about an era where, at least at the time, I didn't have internet. Like you had to. That was like a luxury kind of thing.
Yeah.
To have internet, right? It was not. Nobody had a cell phone that just had internet on it.
No.
You didn't take internet with you in your pocket everywhere, right?
Most people didn't even have cell phones.
No, so it comes from that kind of time period, right? Yeah. But I guess my point on that was that
we had one. It had its own satchel.
Yeah. Last Exile is DBZ's. I will always love it, and it'll just be amazing forever. But Last Exile is so much more of just like a true show. It really is, and the characters and everything that goes on is, it's more than a cartoon. DBZ is a cartoon.
I really want to say though, Last Exile is number 2 on my list of favorites.
You think so? Yeah. Cowboy Bebop, then Last Exile. I think it's up there for me also. I think it's like in my top 5, and when I think of 5, it borderlines on pushing DBZ to like number 6.
Really?
It really does. Like it's right there, if not number 5. But it's like it's on the cutoff line.
Okay, so we'll simplify this for you.
All right.
We'll make it top 5 series and top 5 movie anime.
Oh, okay.
So
this is a little bonus content spin-off.
Yeah, well, like that brings I guarantee that brings DBZ back up into the top 5.
Oh, you think so? I don't know. Because I think Cowboy Bebop is up there. Okay. I love Cowboy Bebop. I really like Last Exile. I think that's up there. My Hero, which is a new one. We haven't actually reviewed it or done it.
Okay. You're getting into the
My Hero. Yeah. I think as far as modern animes go, it pays such a tribute to the roots of that kind of like DBZ feel and the anime stuff that got me hooked on it without a bunch of that like next generation crap that I get sick of and a lot of the other stuff, right?
It has a bunch of it still, but
it does, but it's balanced so well. Like it always comes back to the like it's almost like it does it in a way that borderlines on making fun of the rest of the shows. Like it's aware that those points are in there, but it always comes back to that like badass, like really cool drawn position of the character with like the right music and the right lighting, and like you feel he's a badass and he's selling it, right? So My Hero is so high up on that list for me. Like it might be number 3 or 4, and One Punch Man is right there with it. It's really short. It's really sweet. It borderlines on like Axe Cop scenario where I don't know that I need any more. Almost like I want more, but if One Punch Man didn't make any more and it stopped where it is now, it's awesome, and I really don't have any complaints about it.
I really like One Punch Man, but I'm not going to put it in that level yet.
Oh, really? I love One Punch Man. It's done so well.
I like it a lot, but I don't know that I'd put it that high up.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
really good. It borders on that line of like of all the stuff I don't like about the new anime stuff.
And I think they cross it. They push the cheesy in this a little too much.
Yeah, you think so?
I do, and I think I dislike it the same way you disliked Fairy Tail's cheesiness part of it. But the Fairy Tail, I think that comes back to the Fairy Tail just owning it.
Oh, yeah.
Is what it is. Just being, we know we're cheesy, and we're just going to keep it up that way.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Which I give him respect for that, but it's not what I like. So that's why it's it's not. It didn't appeal to me.
But the One Punch Man, my favorite parts of One Punch Man is when it turns into the serious side of it. Oh yeah, I only do it like 3 days a week type thing. Ha 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 ha. It's like, okay, that's just so stupid. It didn't need to be in there, but
yeah. For me, One Punch Man and My Hero have similarities that I like about them both, and one of those is that the lead character is awesome, but they're not necessarily my favorite character. The supporting cast lifts that character up so much in both of those shows.
So which character do you like better in My Hero?
I love the Fire and Ice guy. I think he's so cool, and the way he hates his dad and like has that whole backstory. But my absolute favorite one is the guy who blows things up.
You really
the enemy dude. He's so Vegeta, dude.
Yes,
he so bad wants to be what he isn't, right? And just wants it so bad.
I'm the best. I'm the best.
I love it when
the thing about it is he is the best, but he hates it because he's not.
Because he hates him how he got it. Like he wants to earn it and have the respect with it, but nobody respects him at all. Even when he's on the number 1 podium in My Hero, he's like chained to it because he's fighting so hard and hating every moment as they put the winning medal around his neck, right? But it's what everybody else wanted. I love it. He is hands down my favorite because, again, he owns what he is through and through in that show. It's so good.
I like the teacher.
The teacher's pretty good too.
I like the teacher a lot.
Yeah, I do really enjoy the teacher. That's totally true. And I even like the guy with the jet engine or the motor on in his body with the thing. He's so Piccolo, right?
Yes.
Totally is. Like they have all those cliche characters. It's really good. They're all really good. But back to the one that matters. We have to put a score on it.
Yes.
I'm going to give it, I can't even remember what we ever gave, like DBZ or something, but I think this show, I think I'm going to go with the same. I'm going to give it an 8.75.
Really? I was going to go straight 8.
Okay. I think it is, which is great. We both think it's
great.
It is great. Borderline's on amazing, for me anyway. Totally worth watching. I think, again, really big similarities between Life is Strange and Last Exile.
Yes, definitely. I totally.
So we didn't touch on our nerd play for next month, but I think maybe I'll look real quick.
They announced them.
They did announce
yesterday.
them. I just saw them. I think it's Until Dawn. Is that right? I think
Really?
that's the one we should play.
Okay.
It's like an actual real game, PS4, and I've heard good things about it. In a way, I think it's actually maybe kind of similar to Life is Strange to some degree.
I don't know what it is. I haven't seen any.
I'm not totally sure either.
Oh, okay. Good job.
I think it has the chick from Heroes in it, the cheerleader.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, save the cheerleader, save the world, right? But I'm pretty sure that's the one it is. So I think we should play that.
Okay.
Can I throw it down and just make that judgment call?
Sounds
Maybe
good.
it'll be awesome. We'll just play it for the month again.
Yeah. If
All
it
right.
sucks, we can pick another
We'll
one.
skip. We'll give it a quick review and jump to the next game.
Yeah.
And as far as anime, I think we should play Death Note.
Yeah,
or watch Death Note.
I thought we already agreed to that one.
Yeah. I don't think we publicly said it.
Oh, probably
But
not.
let's throw it out there.
Yeah,
We're
it's
going to watch
Death Note.
Death Note because also Netflix is releasing their Death
Their
Note
live
movie.
action.
So I figure we'll watch the anime, get all fresh on that, and then watch the live action and see if that ruins it for
It's
us.
been years since I've watched Death Note.
I went into it thinking I don't think I'm going to like it because it's about a dude who writes a name in a book and then those people die, right? And I thought this doesn't sound that exciting to me, but I've already watched a few episodes and I'm kind of hooked a little bit.
Nice.
I kind of like it. The way it's done is actually engaging and interesting.
It is. I really liked Death Note a lot the first time I watched it, and you were talking about things, and I'm like, I remember that, but I don't remember the exact context of how it came about.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to, like I said, I'm gonna have to watch it again now just to get freshened up on everything.
All right, cool. So we'll both watch it.
Yeah, because that's a long time ago that I watched Death Note.
Yeah, and it has that kind of feel for sure. It feels older.
Yes.
Yeah. But to me, that's appealing. Totally is. So we're going to watch Death Note, and we'll watch the live action Netflix when it comes out.
Yep.
We'll do whatever an episode about that. And we're going to play Until Dawn.
Okay.
All right. So, real quick, for next week, we are going to go see Spider-Man Homecoming.
Hell yeah.
I'm so beyond excited for this movie. God damn Spider-Man. Can I just say that?
Why?
Because every time I tell myself, don't buy the hype, don't buy into it, and then I literally buy the hype.
Oh,
I
yes.
open my wallet and buy the crap out of that hype. And I'm going to do it for this movie. I'm going to tell myself, don't go into this expecting amazing things, but I so am.
I'm actually super excited for it, especially since I've seen a bunch of the Tom Holland stuff, behind the scenes Tom Holland stuff, and because I didn't know how to take him when we were watching the previews for Civil War and stuff. And once we saw his character actually play out on screen, I loved him. And but still, I knew nothing much about him after that. Even after that, so I started watching a few more things and stuff. And yeah, the Tom Holland stuff's pretty cool.
Yeah.
His training and stuff.
Oh,
And
best Peter Parker, I think. So far.
he's done so much work to be that character.
Yeah.
Like training, like physical training stuff.
Well, and I think out of every movie that Marvel's done so far, the MCU, there's no more pressure on Marvel than this particular movie.
Oh, really?
Don't you think? I think Marvel's finally made a deal to have one of the hugest Marvel characters ever, right? There's no way around that.
It's his Stan Lee's
day
character.
one, Spider-Man has been a staple. You see Spider-Man, you think Marvel. It's like Batman or Superman with DC. It just is,
Exactly.
right? Marvel is that, or Spider-Man is that equivalent. And this is the first time that Marvel's actually had control to do what they want with Spider-Man. So they need to do it right. I think they really do. To earn the right to keep doing that, this is going to set a standard.
I think they proved they can with what little they showed us.
In Civil War? Yeah, that was almost like a trailer for this, right?
Yeah.
It's a real teaser for what we're going to get now.
Entirely.
Yeah. And there's loads of pressure, man. It has to be done right. I think more than any other movie that Marvel's released, this has more pressure on it than anything else.
No, correct me if I'm wrong, though, but as soon as this movie's released, he goes back to Sony, doesn't he?
They get one more movie. They get Homecoming 2. That's what they're calling it now. It's not going to be what it's called, but that's what they're calling it. And then after that, it's up in the air. What Sony's going to do? Do they want to, like, are they just going to let Marvel steamroll ahead with Spider-Man and bring him back to the forefront and just all these huge popularity, and then Sony's going to just rip him back and make crappy movies with him again? Or are they going to let Marvel continue with what they're doing? Like, it's such a weird deal. I don't know that a deal like that has ever happened with any other sort of like movie franchise ever.
And speaking of other movie franchises, Sony owns Fantastic Four too as well, right?
Yes. No. Is it Sony? No, I think Sony's only Spider-Man. I think Fantastic Four is also Fox. Is that right?
So Fox has X-Men and Fantastic Four?
I think so.
Okay.
Now you got me wondering. But I think that's right. I'm pretty sure Sony only their claim to fame is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't want to claim the Fantastic Four. Not the crap they put out.
With Captain America. Yeah, it's the same guy who plays Human Torch, right?
Yeah,
I always thought
that's
they
right.
can't bring them together now, right?
Yeah.
But kudos to them, because I don't think he'd probably be Captain America today at where he's at without doing Fantastic Four, right?
Yep.
So I don't know. I
totally forgot that was the same character.
Yeah, it totally is. Another
Not
Chris.
same character, same guy.
Yeah. So loads of pressure on Spider-Man. I really think there is, especially for me personally, because he's the superhero I left off on, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I still love superheroes, and I still introduce myself to new ones and like fall in love with them too. But my last superhero love affair was Spider-Man. Totally.
Yeah.
So loads of pressure.
We've heard you talk about it before.
Right? Enough. Have you heard enough? So I have
Never.
loads of expectations. I hope it doesn't turn into a Nintendo thing where it's like so much respect and I love you, but at the same time, F you, Spider-Man. Like, I don't want that to happen. So, and I don't think it will. I've heard so far the reviews are just like through the roof. People are raving about this movie.
Yeah.
So super stoked. We're going to go see it. We're going to review it next episode. Probably just be the main topic of the whole show.
Yep.
And also next week.
Do we have a guest for it yet?
I don't know. Surprise guest. I think surprise.
All right.
I'm going to pull something out of a crevice somewhere and we'll see who it is.
I liked my suggestion.
You liked your suggestion? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe he will be on the show.
Maybe.
Okay. I think he would be flattered to be on the show.
I think it would be a good one because we get a real insight to where you left off.
Okay. All right. We're speaking of my brother.
Yes.
And he listens. So if you're hearing this, Lucas, get a hold of me. Come watch Spider-Man with us.
Exactly.
Yeah. So also for should we do our beer now and then next week's beer?
No,
next week's beer now.
Let's announce next week's beer now.
Since we're just doing it.
Yep.
So next week's beer, we are going to drink sorry, I'll let you do it. I apologize.
So
we drank some beers during the break. I'm a little loopy. I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
You usually take the next week's, but that's fine. I'll take this one.
Okay.
I like this one.
Okay.
So, my friend, he's not your friend too, but one of our friends from high school. But we finally are getting a few recommendations and stuff coming in, and this was recommended from our friend Seth.
Yep. And we listen. We totally listen.
Totally listen.
Please recommend
And thank
stuff.
you for listening.
Yes.
And it's the DIPA 2x4, 9.9%.
I like those numbers.
Yes.
It's almost a 10.
Brew
from a unicorn.
from Melvin Brewing in Wyoming?
Yeah. Did I do that wrong?
Alpine, Wyoming.
Is Wyoming WY?
I think so. I don't know.
Okay. You knew what it was.
Yeah.
We're going with it.
So yeah, Melvin Brewing out of Alpine, Wyoming, and I had a Melvin brew. Wasn't this one? Last night,
Nice.
talking to the Walter Beast.
Nice. Who's going to be on a show?
He needs to be.
We're going to drag him onto one. Yeah.
Yes,
He's hilarious.
he went to college for it. He should be here.
Yeah. And a little side note. I do want you to go pick up the beer and drink it with us.
Yes,
But there's a little pressure on Seth. Because
Yeah.
this beer was, I wrote 13 here, but it was $13.99 at the bottle shop. So I paid like
$14
whatever,
for
something
four
for
beers.
Yeah, four cans.
Oh,
Yeah. So it
yeah.
better
There's
be
some
good.
pressure there.
Some pressure, Seth.
Yeah,
Hopefully you'll hear from me.
I spent more
and
than
I'll
that
be
per-
singing your praises.
I
but
spent more
maybe
than
not.
that per ounce for beer we've drank on this cast, by the way.
Yes. So, well, it's like our the old crustaceans, right?
Yes.
Those are like $26 a bottle or something.
Those, and then I had to check my baggage from Arizona,
Oh yeah.
which cost a bunch.
But those old crustaceans were amazing.
And so was the Arizona beers.
So I'm putting some faith in Seth here, and I'm hoping this is gonna be awesome, and we're gonna love it, and then he'll recommend something else.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm into it. So that's next week. DIPA, 9.9%. Stoked about it. Melvin Brewing.
Yes, it's got the
All right.
right numbers for you,
It does.
other than the cost.
Yeah, right. That was the wrong number, but that's fine. I understand that sometimes to have something nice, you need to pay for it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
totally true.
And if it's worth it, it's worth it.
It is totally true.
Wow.
So
that was like a Yogi Berra comment.
yeah, right.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
It is worth it. Boo boo.
Not Yogi Bear, the baseball player. Anyway.
Okay, sorry. I went to cartoon right away. That's the break beer, Zippy. So this beer. Let's
Yes.
wrap it up here.
Definitely. From Stone,
Yep.
one of my favorite breweries.
I feel a little confused on my beer palating because we drank really warm beers and sat and waited for the power to come back on, and then we went back to the fridge and got fresh ones. So it's like we're starting the cast over again, right? But really, I didn't mind drinking the beer during our break at all. It wasn't abrasive.
Nope, and it got warm, and the body never really, the malt body didn't really grow and get really sweet on you like they tend to do.
Yeah.
And I think that just owns the fact that it's 5.7%, not 6.8 or 7.5%.
Yes.
And it kept a nice rounded body the whole way through. The bittering came up a little bit more
Yeah.
at the end, but the hop flavors just stayed constant.
I'm gonna still stand pretty firm on the fact that if you like beer and you like good beer, you might really like this beer. But if you like pale ales and that's what you go to, I don't know that you would like this beer. This does not scream pale ale to me at all.
If pale ale is your bitter beer to go to, this is not the beer to get.
No, I don't think so at all. But I think if you like a little fuller bodied beer and a little more out of your beer than a pale ale, and somebody offered you this as a pale ale, you'd be stoked.
Like an India pale
Yeah,
ale?
right. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So I totally agree. It's really good. It's really well rounded, which I think is one of the necessity qualities in a beer that a beer needs is to be well rounded.
Yes.
And this really is.
It is.
Right. I think I'm totally fine with this being in my beer fridge. Put that out there right out the gate.
Which these last two came from your beer fridge.
They did. I love that I have a fridge that's what it does is keep beer cold.
Yes.
That's awesome. And it's not a mini fridge. I want to
No,
clarify.
it's a full
This is a
fridge.
full-size fridge. That's all it does is keep my beer cold. It's
Yes.
awesome. And it's not full, but it's pretty close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's usually about 3/4.
Yeah. If I would just quit drinking it, right? It might be full.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna give this one I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
7.5? I'm
Yeah.
going straight 7.
Straight 7. Nice. Yeah, just got an edge out of you just a little bit on all the scores today.
Yeah, you did.
Yep. So I think it's good. We both think it's good. I think it's a little more gooder, but it's good.
It's more better.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why I was kind of willing to give it that little extra is because I was expecting a pale ale. I went into this thinking I'm not the biggest pale ale fan, but this again, if you're that guy and somebody says, "Hey, you want a pale ale?" and you're kind of questioning it, and you get this, you might be super stoked. I was pretty pleasantly surprised with this.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that.
Yeah. So, please download Play Life is Strange. I hope that if you are watching this on Monday, you can still do that with your PS Plus account. It's so worth it. Trust us.
Yes.
We both agree.
It was an amazing game.
So worth it.
And unexpectedly amazing.
Yes.
I did not expect to like it, and halfway into it, I was still like, I don't know what I'm thinking about this. Or halfway into the first episode.
Yeah.
But
I would say first episode, get through it and play the next one, and it's amazing.
By the end of the first episode, I was just like, this game's pretty good. And then the second episode was just totally, I love this game. This game is amazing.
And we've had other nerd plays that we both really liked, but I want to say this is probably the first one that we both feel as passionately, this is an amazing game, as we do.
Oh.
Yeah, because even Journey, you didn't have the same reaction that I
No.
had. Yeah, this game, it's really good.
Which I did like Journey. I didn't like it like you guys liked it.
Yeah.
I don't
think
think
you kind of had a different experience than we did.
Yeah.
But still, we totally agree on this one.
I didn't have internet.
Yeah. The dreaded internet beast. We'll see what happens with Nintendo. I'm still hoping for it. Please, Nintendo. But I'm sticking with it. F you on what you're doing with this.
So you're not going to camp out?
No, I'm not doing it at all. I'm not. I'm giving up hope with Nintendo, and it's really sad. And I hate myself for doing it. I hate myself too, just so you out there know. I also hate myself. And watch Last Exile because it's more than a cartoon. It really is. It really, really is. And we're going to play Until Dawn.
Okay.
And we're going to watch Death Note.
Yes.
And next week, we're drinking the Melvin beer, 9.9%. I'm stoked.
Is your
And
numbers?
we're watching Spider-Man.
Yes, I'm excited for that
I'm
one.
also really stoked. So, on that note, please recommend beers because we listen, clearly. And we will get it, and we'll drink it, and we will tell you what we think of it.
Also recommend animes.
Yes. Recommend anything nerdy. Totally do it, please.
Exactly.
Game, anime, anything. It doesn't
Board
really
game.
matter.
If you like a board game that nobody else heard of,
Yeah, whatever.
We'll look at it.
Yes. I'm willing to engage in other nerdy stuff. It's totally awesome. And follow us on Twitter, at Nerdbuzzed, right there. Find us on Facebook. Join our Nerdbuzzed Nerds group.
Yep.
All those things. Been getting a little more action on there, which is cool. So, to all the nerds,
Through all the fuzz,
bottoms up. Let's get Nerdbuzzed.
Talking about beer, talking about nerd culture. You're
It's
on
kinda nice
Nerdbuzzed.
yeah.
Marcus and Jeremiah. You're on Nerdbuzzed. Let's get Nerdbuzzed.